Everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSidfs DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your host, Mega31. Xfinity race went quite well. It was actually kind of exciting there. On the first lap, I was done, but things panned out pretty well. If you watch the video, I think we're onto a lot of good things there. And if you're in the Discord and read the sheet, several of you did really well and won some decent amounts of money. We're talking like, 10, 20x. So pretty good day there. So let's keep this party going for one last time here for the Cup race. And then we get a 2 week break. So, and then we'll pick up again. I think it's Richmond. Uh, it's like second week in August after the Olympics. So uh, hopefully we can make some money one last time before that happens. So I started to highlight some drivers in green here. They are ones that have wins this season. We don't really need to start looking at playoffs just yet, but when we come back, we'll definitely be focusing on that. They had a long practice session. Thanks for those who pointed out, like if you didn't watch, well, there was no truck video. And Xfinity explained that my weekend was just kind of upside down with the whole CrowdStrike issue with the PC, like just trying to get the data and stuff pulled. Was difficult. Plus my main job that I work outside of FSI for my career in retail on Fridays was a nightmare, and I do help out with some of the IT stuff there, and was trying to manually reset computers, try to get our pharmacy and receiving and accounting and a bunch of other things back up and running. So in the limited amount of time, I missed the fact that they weren't at Indianapolis since 2018. And I was looking back, like usually like a NASCAR on the webpage, like if it's one of those fake road courses they call the Grand Prix or they say Indy like road, but like I said, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So I assumed it was a oval track in all my tiredness and mental fatigue. So I do apologize for that, but it didn't change the outcome in Xfinity. And now I know for this one. So I will not refer to last year, but I will be looking back at last week at Pocono because that's a similar track that's kind of comparable, and I think we can use that kind of as a guide. So long practice here, which was good. Although at the end of it, some people started to run some hot laps just to practice for qualifying, and they have that goofy qualifying thing where they do it in like two different. Top five in this group and top five in this group. And I don't know if it's the most accurate way to see how cars are, but I think we got enough to put us in that direction. There is probably not going to be a lot of passing here, but maybe with this car they will. Lots of speed here, like to like probably 200 miles per hour, but then pit road speed is like down to like it's 55 or 45, but it's they're going to have to slow down. So I imagine we're going to see pit road strategy not be some of the things that we saw at Pocono or like some of the other shorter tracks where you're not going as fast because you really run the risk of, well, at short tracks, you always run the risk of going multiple laps on a green flag run. But here, just to try to get down to speed to get into your pit and everything, if you're going to try to short pit and get cute with it, like some of these drivers like to do that aren't going for stage points or to try to get up to track position, could backfire because it could put you like in the back of the field, and then you'd have to try to pass all those cars to cycle up, and it just might not work out for you, especially if you're down laps and trying to wait for lucky dog and stuff like that. So I don't think you're going to see people short pitting unless they have like a vibration, a problem. And you might not even see like two tire stops because I think this could turn into a fuel mileage race if you have a lot of green flag runs. So hopefully it isn't one of those where a couple cars break away and then it's follow a leader and like a yawn fest and nobody can catch anybody, like kind of the end of Pocono. Really it's anticlimactic. Like Blaney had the thing won with like what, like maybe 12, 13 laps. Like it just really started to get up there. So I might see a couple wrecks. I know we did see some people script the wall in qualifying if you don't concentrate because you are carrying a lot of speed coming out of straightaways into the corners, and there isn't much grip. I think it kind of caught him by surprise a little bit that the track was hotter for qualifying than it was for practice, so that it was like looser. So we'll have to see how the temperatures are. But there should be some decent amount of rubber. I don't think there's going to be any rain or anything. So, I mean, there should be a decent amount of grip. There is some fall off on this. This isn't a track that's going to completely chew your tires up, but it's something that, tires are going to help in maintaining track position and potentially gaining track position. So Tyler Reddick got the pole. I think he definitely can be a dominator, can get out there early and lead multiple laps if nobody can get out there and challenge him. 15th in practice, but first overall in 5 lap average, and some of the other higher lap averages did quite well. Also, I think he's going to be very popular, and I think he's definitely at 8,800, somebody to consider in a cash game. Denny Hamlin, again, this is another track type that kind of is one that really is something that would be conducive to his driving style. So I think that he's another strong play up here. Also, I did make the recommendation for taking like 1 and 2 in the speculation video and made a case for it. And I think you could do the same thing here is take your 2 dominators out of these top 4 here potentially. And if it's a 2 dom race, then it definitely could pay off. I know it's dangerous. I know it's probably more of a FanDuel strategy to do this, but I just think in this case, I don't really see um like there's a lot of plays, differential plays in the back that could get up there, but I don't know if they're going to get up there and lead. So I think that some of these guys in the top 10 should be safe. And you've got like 8, 9, 10, and 11 cars that should probably be falling backwards. And there will be some cars that will come up and fill in, but I don't know if they can. You really have the cream up top here with a lot of these cars. So I think within the top 7 is really all the people that could potentially go out and win this race or lead the race. So I think it's going to be very safe to like pick cars up here to be your dominators, which is something you don't normally do. Now it is a longer track, so it's not like we're talking like a Bristol or something like that where you're going to have 400 or 500 laps. Let me just dial in here. So it's 160 laps. So I mean, you don't have a ton of dominating points, but I think they're definitely be helpful if somebody does have lion's share of them to be on the right one. So I think Hamlin and Reddick are where you kind of want to start with your dominators. Chase Elliott, I'm going to put in the 100K category because I think people are going to look at the top 7 and pick their dominators, and they're going to look right over him. Because if they look at just the practice speeds and don't look at the 5 lap average and the 10 lap average and things like that, he was 31st. He was struggling. But towards the end of practice, he was getting to be one of the fastest cars on the track. So I think they made the adjustments. I think they figured out he wasn't setting up for a hot lap, because some people might dismiss it as that. So I think that he will have medium ownership, even though he's one of the most popular drivers. I have seen his ownership declining under like 20% recently. Even though he's still popular, I don't think I think other guys are kind of replacing him with ownership or the people like favorite drivers to build and play in DFS. And he's not there. And I think they're going to look and be like, okay, I really want in the top 5. If I eliminate one driver, it's going to be Chase Elliott. Probably most people are going to look at that as they look at practice speed 15 second, first 12. But I think that they're really going to overlook him. So that's why I want to make him 100K play. If I'm playing that shoot the moon line YOLO lineup, I think that he's one of the drivers I want to start with up top here. Byron, uh, first overall in practice, 6 and 5 lap. This should be another good track for him. Like all the Hendrick cars, besides Bowman, did really well. They obviously hit on something, have something figured out. Good notes from when they were around here, back here, and you can see, with qualifying, like it worked out. And I didn't get a chance to verify this, but a guy that I know really well that's actually has his own YouTube um, channel, so I believe it's called Days of Richie. Richie Martin. He has really hit on some really cool parlays and pretty good DFS player. I have him on the show eventually, like maybe after the break here. I really want to bring him on and just like have him as a special guest because his insight into NASCAR has been really good, and we've had some really good discussions. But he picked up a pretty cool trend that the 24 won Indy in, I believe it was 94 and 2004 and 2014. I didn't get a chance to verify it, but in Jeff Gordon and now the 24 and William Byron here. So if that is true, I will put it in the comments to verify it. But that just if you like narratives, I mean that's a pretty cool one there. But regardless of that, I still think William Byron does have the talent and the car here to be able to win this and to be considered one of your three dominators. So I really think you want 2 out of 3 between Reddick, Hamlin, and Byron, and maybe even split up your cash games and to um, 3 different lineups, and one with Reddick, Hamlin, one with Reddick, Elliott, one with Hamlin, Elliott. That should cover all of them. Now, Kyle Larson, I think, is going to be an upside dominator here. It's a little bit slower in practice, but his 5 lap average was up there. I think this is a race he hasn't won. So I think, and, all the whole narrative with him running here, the Indianapolis 500 and kind of knowing the track, I think that also will bode well, even though it's a different type of car and a different series. I think that should be helpful here, and I think he's one that's driven to want to win this and be able to kiss those bricks and cement his legacy on that. So I think that he's definitely one that I like, but I think he's more of a GPP play than the other 3 up top there. Ty Gibbs, he's had a ton of speed recently at the pole at Pocono, and he was doing well. He biffed the restart a little bit, and then he had some engine trouble and kind of ended his day prematurely. 16th in practice, 5 lap average wasn't great, but I still think that it's a Gibbs car. They should figure it out. 8,300, I like him as potentially a dominator here too, but it's going to be definitely more of a GPP play. Blaney, great car last week, ended up going out there and winning the race after starting eighth, led 44 laps, pretty much dominated it. And could it happen again here too? Like, yeah, I think so. His practice numbers weren't great, but they weren't horrible. Starting seventh, a little place differential, and he has the win, so kind of playing with actually 2 wins, so he's kind of playing with house money here, so he should be able to go out there and have a successful day. But his price tag is the third highest up there, so I think that he's someone to also considering GPP builds. Now we have Fade Row here. Mike McDowell, thanks for playing. You qualified great, but your practice and 5 lap average were horrible in the 30s. Ricky Stenhouse, same thing. Your practice speeds were 13th, but your fall off was horrible. You just got slower and slower and slower. You hit a great lap here in qualifying, but you're going to go fall backwards. John Hunter Nemechek, your numbers look like potentially that you could hang up here with these big boys, but I don't trust it. I can't play in cash. I don't even think I want to take a shot in GBP after looking last week. Like, I don't know what was going on with the car. It was just bad. I got in an accident, but he started 32nd and really just couldn't make up any ground. And I think I had him as a 100K play, and he was the one that tanked the lineup. Like everybody else did great there, and he was the anchor. So I can't trust him until like usually I just throw him in a GPP, but here he's starting too far forward. I can't even GPP him. Austin Dillon, he was okay initially in practice, but I think some of them were like hot laps preparing for qualifying. And actually, it paid off. He did 11th, but his 5 lap average, like the fall off, was not there. Same thing as Stenhouse. He just got slower and slower and slower, and his 5 lap averages were in the 30s. Um, in position 33rd. So I just can't do any of these 4 drivers. Joey Logano, I toyed with him or Elliott for the 100K play. And if you can get him in, then maybe he's another fourth one if you want to put in here, or pivot off Elliott if you don't trust him, or you want to go another dominator out there. But it just seems like Joey Logano wins things that are new, and this isn't new, but they haven't been here in like 6 years. So, and, but he is usually one that has a pit crew that he kind of reminds me of. Like Ryan C used to do this in Alex LeBay, where they zig where everybody else zagged and like just had the craziest like pit strategies. And Xfinity like would do what everybody else wasn't doing just to try to be different to gain track position. But again, I said it's going to be kind of dangerous to do here to take two tires and not get enough fuel, or to try to short pit and end up a lap down and try to be relying on getting lucky dog to get back, and then have to still fight through the whole pack to get up front. I don't think it's worth it. And well, who knows? So he's GPP here, seventh in practice, fall off, was still in the top 15. So I think he'll be okay here. I'll sprinkle in maybe one or two lineups, but I'm not going super hard on him. Alex Bowman is my other 100K play. The other Fender stars look great here. Fifth in practice, eighth in. He just didn't quite get there in qualifying, which is fine because sometimes it's with the silly format. You have decent cars start a little bit further back than they would if it was just a straight up qualifying effort like Xfinity and the trucks have. So I think that he's one that has a lot of upside here. He's got to win, so he doesn't really need to play around for like stage points as much. He can go for it and try to continue on the momentum that he has and recent form, and hopefully do well and improve his playoff positioning. Truex does not have a win this season yet, and he looked really bad in practice and qualifying here. His 5 average is a little bit better in practice, but nothing really impressed me here. Uh, in Pocono last week, like started third, finished eighth. He did lead some laps there in 14, and it was kind of a nice tribute that they had with his name on the start finish line and everything. But and last time that he's coming to this track, so there's kind of that emotional aspect too. But it's not enough to make me pull the trigger on him. I just GPP, yeah, fine. Keep him in the player pool, but cash, I can't do it, and I don't think he's really a 100K play either. AJ Allmendinger, I made him a 100K play in Xfinity, and he did quite well today. But this Collie car here is just starting too far forward. Showed me nothing in practice, and 5 lap average just got started to get worse than his regular. So I think he's going backwards. I don't know if he'll finish in the top 20, but I can't play him. Harrison Burton, even though his practice time was horrible, even though his 5 lap average was okay, but again, I think they were running some hot laps there, which kind of brought down some of the 5 lap averages, which no, that probably wouldn't work. But anyways, it's Harrison Burton. Yes, he's done better recently, but not enough to start at a track that he has never raced at, where he has he started 22nd, got in an accident last week. I don't think it was his fault though, but uh, end up 31st. But he just seems to get involved in those things, or he falls back into the field and gets caught up in other people's trouble because he can't stay up with the good drivers who know how not to run into each other. So, gonna be a fade for me. I know you're probably thinking, wow, the Xfinity gave Joe McGrath Jr. a break. You even put him on the cover and you made him a 100K play. But Harrison Burton, this is not the case. I just don't feel it from what I see here with the team, with everything all put together. He's going to be a fade. But Wallace, I think, is a strong play here at 17th. Got some great place differential. It's a Toyota. They've been running strong and running well. And he was 10th in practice and 10th in 5 lap average. And I think that if you look at it, he could probably end up like eighth here, surpassing Bowman, probably moves up. Um, but like all the rest, and maybe Truex can hold, or Logano. But I really think that he's definitely can make it up to the top 10. Bell also, I think he'll be very popular here and a great cash play. At 95, does he need to dominate? Well, no, not if there's only one or two doms, and there's not a lot of dominating points there. But if he can get up to top to like eighth or even to fifth and get like 13 place differential points, I think that's gonna be enough to pay up to 90 five. Fourth in practice, ninth in 5 lap average. I usually put him as a GPP play just because he's been finding trouble, but he's been in better form recently. And I think that but with the whole pit road speeding thing, I think he and Kyle Busch and Keselowski are like my most likely to get ticketed. If I could do a three-person parlay on that, that's what my bet would be. I'd drop like $100 right on it. That Bell, Keselowski, and Kyle Busch all have pit road speeding penalties, uh, and I'd probably rich from it, but I don't think they offer those bets, so I'm not going to go there. But I think that could be my only hesitation in playing him in cash, but I think he'll be fine here. Corey LaJoy starting too far forward. I do fear retribution from Kyle Busch too if he gets to him because Corey LaJoy pretty much admitted knocking Busch out of the race last week. Self-regulating something, and what goes around comes around, and I think that even if Kyle's not going to do something, we saw the case with like Harvick and Elliott a couple of years ago, where Elliott made some cryptic comments that he was coming after Harvick after an on the track incident a couple weeks previous, and it was a road race. I forget where they were. It might have been Indy, but Elliott was catching up in the field and he was getting right behind Harvick, and Harvick was driving, looking through his rearview mirror, sweating. Elliott approaching him, wondering what's going to happen, and he took his eyes off the road and ran into one of the barriers. So, I mean, could LaJoy like end up in the wall just because he's preoccupied if Kyle Busch gets in his neighborhood that he's going to tap him or retaliate from the previous week? I don't know, but it's good enough narrative for me to fade him. Chase Briscoe is going to be my third 100K player here. And I know if you're looking at the numbers and thinking, why? Practice, he was 28th, and then 5 lap average, he had horrible fall off. It was 36. The sole reason that I'm taking him here is because they were talking on during practice and qualifying about and like some of the drivers. I think they were talking with AJ Allmendinger, who's really good at road courses, and he was talking about if you really know how to shift these cars, then it's a huge advantage for you to be able to continue to keep speed while going into the corners without having to use brake and losing momentum. You can do it so the engine can slow you down, but if you do it wrong, it will slow you down too much. Uh, and cause problems. Chase Briscoe, since this car's inception in that first race in the Coliseum in his rookie year, has always been one of the most masterful shifters of these cars. And it has helped propel him to success in many races that shifting was a huge advantage. And from hearing what Allmendinger said, he's the first one I thought about. So I'm going to put him in my 100K lineup because I think that factor could help him have a solid day. No Gregson, again, I think here's if you want to look at somebody that has better numbers and you don't like the whole narrative of the Briscoe one, then put the 100K tag on Noah Gregson. He has been solid. He probably has one of the best Stewart Haas race cars here. He got some little extra time in practice here, racing or driving Ryan Sieg's Xfinity car for him during practice to try to go out there and test it because he couldn't. So and that all bodes well. And if you look at his practice, he was 25th, but he had 18th and 5 lap average and had some decent 10 lap average also. So I think that I'm going to have him as a GPP, but I can, if you want to put him in the 100K lineup, then over Briscoe, if you're looking at that 36 and it makes you throw up in your mouth, then there's your pivot. Ty Dillon started way too far forward here. Like BJ McLeod didn't even practice. Cody Ware was the slowest, and Ty Dillon was right there with him. It's a Richard Childress car. but it just didn't work out. Did he drive this last week? Who was it? I thought the 33 was out there. Maybe not. But yeah, Austin Hill's driven in this car in the Cup Series, and it hasn't had that much speed. The whole RCR program this year between Dillon and Bush haven't had any speed. So, and now they're throwing a third car in the mix to try to manage. So I just don't think it works out well here. So fade for me. Chris Busher, just did he hit the apron in qualifying or took his eyes off? Like he just screwed up his qualifying lap, but phenomenal practice, top 15, 5 lap average was up there in the top five. He's always been good on higher wear tracks, which again, this isn't like necessarily like old Atlanta or Auto Club or some of those ones that really chew up your tires. But I think that he can use that to keep speed with little fall off. And I think starting 23rd, that he definitely has probably 10 place differential point upside there, if not more. So definitely someone I'm going to lock into my cash lineups as a play. Gillian has been a cash darling all season, but the last couple of races, like I just something's kind of off there. I don't know what's going on, but it just hasn't been a good experience playing him. 33rd last week, and we thought, okay, he's got a ton of upside. Ended up finishing 34th, got in an accident the week before. I don't think he had a really good outcome either. Here, 17th in speed in practice, didn't qualify as well. 27th, the fall off wasn't good. I'm not putting him as a fade, but I think he's more of a GPP play. I would have loved if he was starting down the 30s and not 24th. Daniel Suarez is gonna be a fade also among like with Dylan and Cody Ware. Like he was turtle slow also. I qualified a little bit well with 25th, and we are like, hey, you know what? It's a track house car. They're gonna figure it out. But Chastain didn't have really good speed in practice either. So I just don't know what's going on with these cars. But Trackhouse just did not get the setup right here. Brad Kozlowski, toyed with him being a prime play, but I like the Butcher as far as Cindric better. But I think he's going to be a solid cash play here. Again, just like kind of like Busher, like practice was okay, but they got better as it went on. As you can see, he was fourth in 5 lap average, where Busher was fifth. So I think there's definitely some upside there. I like the price break on some of the other ones, and I don't like making prime plays like too expensive in the mid range. So I want you to have an opportunity to try to get like a dominator or two in your lineup with your builds. But I think that if you want to sub somebody out, that he's one that definitely could be a potential replacement for a prime play or a solid cash fill in if you're playing all three of those. If you want a more balanced lineup and you don't want to go like all the way up, there is some upside in playing like Kozlowski and Bell over trying to get in like a Hamlin or a Byron or a Larson in a cash build. So Zane Smith, I think he'll be low owned, but he's been solid too recently. A GPP at 56. Like if you can just kind of hang around the 25th spot, which is like his speeds indicate in practice and fall off at 5 lap average, you should be okay. Should be kind of low owned there. Ross Chastain again, like 8,100. There's some place differential here, but I don't think I have the floor for him in cash. GPP, I'll definitely probably sprinkle him in a lineup or two. Eric Jones, he had some speed in practice, like initially, but his overall 5 lap average, it would just fell off like super quickly. So maybe he might advance early on, but I think he's gonna fall like an anchor. Like he's gonna be like one of those. When I used to run track, they used to tie the bungee cord around your waist and you used to run out as far and fast as you could, and then the whole thing would just catch and like spring it back towards the baseline in the gym that it was tied to. I think that's kind of be like the accordion effect that Eric Jones is going to have. He may start picking up positions early on, But I think his short run car. But I think with these long runs, he's just going to keep on dropping, 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 dropping. I don't think he's going to hold a track position. Carson Hocevar, on the other hand, was sixth in practice, um, speed overall, but 16th in I left average, which I'm fine with. He's been solid recently. Also, a decent driver. I know he hasn't seen this track, but in practice, and just didn't qualify well. But I think it'll come to him. He's a very intelligent driver, real wheel man. So I can pretty much drive anything, and I think that he'll have a solid performance. So I think there's a lot of at 6,800, he's a decent price here to be a decent place differential play for you. Priest and Hemrick, again, kind of the same story here. $400 apart. Stuart Haas car and a colleague car, and these two have been like the slowest in both their stables, and in 30s and fall off in low 20s in practice overall. GPP if you need them for fill-ins, but not super excited. Jimmy Johnson, I keep on saying you need to get that Men in Black red pen and shine it in your eyes and forget everything that you know about Jimmy Johnson, his dominance here in the past. Not the same driver, not the same team, not the same crew chief, and play him at your own risk. I don't think he's a total fade here, but I just haven't seen really good results for him at all this season. Fall off was decent, so there's could be some upside there. That's why he's GPP and not complete fade, but I don't think I'll be playing a ton of him. Now we can always come to the problem child of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch cannot qualify good. And you look at him, it's like, wow, he's in practice, 11th and 5 lap average. He's probably going to be highly owned, but he will be my first guy in my GPP lineup. But I'm not playing with my 100K lineup and single bullet, and I'm not playing him in any cash games. I just can't do it. He keeps on finding so much trouble on the track, and it's because his car's been so slow. He like whoever I was talking about earlier that just continues to get caught up in trouble because they're in the back of the field constantly, where guys don't know how to drive as well and don't have even though the equipment's all parity, they're just not set up as well and don't have the speed and have like issues, and he gets caught up in accidents back there. And I think that that could potentially happen again back here. But again, if he does get like 20 um, positions and even up to like 14th or top 15, like he's going to be the optimal lineup at 8K. He's going to smash. But the ceiling is like super high, skyscraper high for him, but the floor is subterranean. So I can't play him in cash, but GPP definitely first guy in. Haley, I think, is some cash. He's been good recently. Doesn't usually do well in practice, but his results have been consistent. So I will take that over, examining his practice speed. Started 34th, finished 22nd last week at Pocono. You see that a lot. He starts in the 30s. His practice times are in the 30s. He gets up into the low 20s, sometimes into the high 20s. Uh, so the consistency there, I think, makes him a cash play. Cody Ware, like didn't have a bad race last week. Started 31st, got up to 26. I think people will look at that and bounce score chase, but just looking at how bad he was in practice here, I just don't see it happening on this track. I mean, Pocono's a little bit different, so he's gonna be a fade for me. Josh Berry, I had high hopes for in Xfinity, and he just got in an accident early on and just couldn't continue, so it kind of hurt. But down here, qualified bad, but his practice times weren't horrible. 11th, and his fall off was getting down to like 20th, but still, like even if he does 20th, that's 70 place differential points. That's going to be a good day for him at 7,500. So I think he's a solid cash play, but you're not probably not going to get to him unless you're going with a balanced build. I would prefer to play $100 more. And Cindric was super fast in practice. His overall time wasn't great, but his got up to seventh, like the top 10, like 5 lap average. So the longer they went, the faster his car got. So you really want that for long runs here, especially if there's going to be long green flag runs. And even if they have to change something with the car, he's only going to drop below BJ McLeod. He's not going to lose a lot of track position if he has to go to the back of the field, if because he did hit the wall because he did wasn't paying attention. Um, and had too much momentum coming off the corner in qualifying, so they should get that fixed up. They shouldn't have to go to the backup's car. He should be fine, and they'll get that car ready, and it should be good to go. And I think it should be able to carve its way through the field, and he's not going to win the race. He's not going to dominate the race, but I think that he can have such a good day and a respectable finish that have him as a prime play. And BJ McLeod, he has raced really well. He was like up in like the top 10 in some um, times during the Xfinity race, and he ended up finishing kind of where he started in the 20s. So it wasn't a banner day for him, but he and this car, it's power source. It's been car along. It's been MBM. It's not a great car, but I think with attrition he can move up. He didn't even. We don't even know. Like he didn't practice, and I don't know if he even did he run a qualifying lap. Let me check that out. Because if this car hasn't even been on the track yet, um, he did. It wasn't anything great. Uh, so yeah, he was his qualifying time was like 53, and most of the guys are running in like 50, so he's 3 seconds um, slower than everybody else. So I think that's going to put him down multiple laps, and I think in the future, if BJ McLeod continues to still racing Cup, like he's had some solid finishes this season, but hopefully he gets in a better car and goes out there and practices and shows us a little bit better than being like dead last and 3 seconds off the pace. So that's what I got for you. If you have any question, put them in the chat below. Hit me in my Megaro31 on X. I definitely don't mind answering your questions when I can. Again, I'm not going to prove full lineups, or if you give me a 2v2 and tell me who else is in your lineup, I can't do that because it's pretty much approving a lineup. So DK frowns upon that, and we don't want to get in their, we want to stay in their good graces. So um, just ask the 2v2, just straight up, but don't give me the other context. And we'll go from there. So yeah, definitely like to, if in private chats and stuff I can, but in like the chat in this YouTube and in our Discord, I cannot. Um, so definitely can try to help you out as much as I can. So appreciate you watching. You're helping us tremendously by watching these videos. But if you want to help us more, then you like, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We hit 5K, and I thought we were good, and we still continue to climb. I think we're up to like 5,051. So yeah, thank you for all you who continue to subscribe, and maybe one day we'll hit 10K. I'm not gonna sweat it right now. The 5K was a great milestone, so I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy it. And if we continue to climb, maybe we'll put another push and incentive. But at this point, I'm so happy that 5,000 people have subscribed to our channel and that 1,000 people watch this video every single week. So thank you so much. And again, hopefully we're helping you here, and to help you back or help us back, then like I said, you do those things. Subscribe to our channel, like it, and share with your friends. So if you want more information on FSide DFS, you can go to the description of the video. If you go in and like the pricing for NASCAR and you want to sign up for a whole month, even though there's 2 week break, I've taken care of everybody who signed up. You will be extended. You will make sure that you get all your money's worth. We are not going to penalize you because NASCAR is off for 2 weeks because of the Olympics. We will make sure your subscription, you get the full 4 weeks or 30 days worth of content that you should for the price that you paid. So thanks for watching. Good luck in your contests. Hope you do really well, and hopefully we'll see some more green screenshots like I did after the Xfinity race. So come back to the video and then post in the comments if you did really well, or if you got feedback, or we could help you out with some things in some other ways. And I'm going to enjoy a week of vacation, and then maybe the next week I still want to try to get like a FanDuel versus DK video out there. So maybe I'll try to get that worked out to try to help you guys on that one. So thanks for watching. Good luck in your contest. Hope your weekend ends up amazing. Uh, Enjoy the Olympics for the 2 weeks. Go Team USA. And I'll see you in a couple weeks when we're, so stay tuned to the channel, and those videos should be coming out at that time. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.